My relationship with gaming has changed drastically. Like, I remember being younger and just loving everything that had to do with gaming. Now, I don't remember exactly how old I was when I first started gaming, but I was young, probably around like 8 years old, maybe a little bit older. Now, I've talked about this on a channel before, but my introduction to gaming actually came through my uncle. He owned a barbershop in Amobia, Anambra State in Nigeria, and whenever I visited my grandma, I'd spend a lot of time hanging out at the shop. His shop was partitioned into two separate rooms. One room was dedicated to cutting hair, and the other room was dedicated to gaming. He had a Sega Mega Drive and a Nintendo, and people would get haircuts and then pay him to play video games. Now, at the time, the two most popular games he had was the old Mortal Kombat games and a top-down style football game. I don't really remember what it's called right now, but I'll make sure to find footage of that and put it in this video. I played that Mortal Kombat game so many times, and to be honest, I actually got pretty good at it, at least for an 8-year-old kid. Later, when he would visit us in Enugu State, where I actually lived, he'd bring his gaming console with him, the Sega Mega Drive and the old Nintendo Entertainment System, the one with Duck Hunt. And he would always tell me, don't touch the games when I leave, don't touch it. But of course, I literally could not resist. As soon as he would leave, I would sneak and I would play games like Street Fighter, Sonic, Mario, Streets of Rage, and Duck Hunt. Oh my god, you guys remember Duck Hunt? I was so fascinated with that game. Like, you could actually wield a gun and actually shoot at the TV, and whatever it is you shot at would die. It was amazing. Now, of course, I would always keep an ear out, and as soon as I heard him coming back, I'll turn off the game quickly and pretend like nothing happened. Nope, I didn't touch it, I promise. And to this day, I'm not actually sure if he could tell I was messing with his games when he wasn't home. Man, I was completely obsessed with gaming. It didn't matter what game it was, I just wanted to play it. Now, as I got older, I begged my dad to buy me a gaming console, but he always refused, of course. He wanted me to focus more on school, especially math and sciences, which, to be fair, man, I wasn't great at those. So looking back, I completely get it. But at the same time, man, it was frustrating. I wanted to play games. So I used every single pocket money I had to play games at arcades on the way home from school. I remember we used to walk home in groups, and we would actually lie and tell our parents, oh, we had to stay back at school to do a project or some shit, and that's why we came back home so late. Meanwhile, we were at the arcade playing football games, or soccer, as Americans call it. I spent every naira I had at those arcades, man. Whew, gaming was everything to me at that time. But things started to change when I developed a love for martial arts. Watching movies like Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee and Once Upon a Time in China with Jet Li, those movies made me obsessed with martial arts. Initially, I wanted to learn Kung Fu or whatever the hell it was Bruce Lee and Jet Li and Jackie Chan were doing, Jeet Kune Do, whatever it is they were doing, I wanted to learn it. But the only gym that I could find that was near me that I could actually justify going to was a Muay Thai gym ran by some Nigerian dude that spent time in Thailand training. I've talked about this before on my videos. I ended up training Muay Thai for about 2 years before my parents decided to sell everything and move us all from Nigeria to the United States. This was in 2009. Now in the US, I made friends fairly quickly as soon as I started high school, and one of them was this nice girl I met in high school. She lived in the same trailer park homes we lived in at the time. They had a PlayStation 3 and she had God of War, the very first God of War. Dude, I loved that game all the way back in Nigeria. I remember the first time I saw that game was actually at an arcade. We went to go play a football game, and on the side was this incredible game of this bald dude with red tattoos all over kicking a box on this ship. The atmosphere was absolutely insane. And dude, I remember like, dude, I want to play this game. I got to play it a little bit, but then seeing it again in the United States, oh my god, it reignited my love for gaming. It really did. But this time, I wanted something more, because my whole entire mindset at this time was I want to play MMA games. And so I went online, I looked up mixed martial arts games, and that's when I discovered UFC Undisputed 2010. This was about 2 years after moving to the United States. Again, remember, we moved to the US in 2009. I fell in love with Undisputed 2010 immediately, and I played that game religiously. And I kept playing that game until UFC Undisputed 3 came out. Now, I didn't even really know that it came out, but a close friend of mine at the time, his name is Vincent, really cool dude. He knew I enjoyed mixed martial arts games like that. So I believe it was either for my birthday or something. I don't know what it was, but he bought me UFC Undisputed 3. It was amazing. And to be honest, that's when my passion for MMA really took off. Shortly after that, of course, I discovered Fight Night Champion, which was another game that Vincent introduced me to. We would spend hours at his house playing Fight Night again. It was amazing, dude. Absolutely amazing. Now, around this time as well is when I started my YouTube channel. And this was after looking up UFC Undisputed 3 videos. I wanted to get better. And that's when I found MMA Game. From that moment on, the only games that I've truly played religiously are MMA and boxing style games. Other than that, sometimes I do enjoy heavy story-driven, grounded games like Grand Theft Auto, Uncharted, The Last of Us, and of course God of War. But honestly speaking, man, no other genre really holds my attention for long, and it's not for a lack of trying. I look at my friends like Anthony Romero, Romero17, who seem to enjoy a much wider variety of games, and it really does make me jealous. This guy will play games like Elden Ring, Black Myth Wukong, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, even Fortnite, and I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting a bunch of other games he plays on his channel. And I've tried a lot of those games, but dude, it just doesn't keep my attention for long. I even gave Red Dead Redemption 2 a shot, a game that objectively is one of the best games ever, and I just couldn't get into it. Like, no matter how much I tried, I always end up just putting the game away. I always just end up going back to EA Sports UFC 5, a game that, although it's not a terrible game like people like to say, it's not even a good MMA sim, but just because of my love for martial arts, I keep going back to that game. Now, I've wondered why this happens, and maybe it's because I've gotten really good at a game like UFC 5, so it's just familiar to me, but I don't think that's what it is. I think in some ways, MMA gaming has become a sort of substitute for real training when I can't train. It's almost like role-playing as an MMA fighter. And this is reflected in how I play the game too. Like, you guys see these videos I make where I'm trying to use Jon Jones authentically or trying to use whoever. I try to embody the fighters I'm using and fight the way they would in real life. Even with the new technology like the MetaQuest 2, which I just literally bought the MetaQuest 3, I've tried games that should be immersive, like the Batman VR game, for example. And while that game was absolutely amazing, like, I'm playing the game thinking to myself, oh my God, this is incredible. As well as the mixed reality style games where you can actually see they're all incredible. I still get bored of these games and start playing. Dude, I played maybe 30 minutes of Batman VR before I put it down and just went back to playing UFC 5. It's crazy. Nothing scratches that gaming itch the way MMA games or boxing games do for me. And so because of this, man, I can confidently say that martial arts, I think, ruined gaming for me. I wish I could enjoy gaming the way others do. Like, I almost feel robbed. No matter how much I try to branch out, I can't. Right now, the only games I'm genuinely looking forward to are EA Sports UFC 6 whenever that game comes out, a new Undisputed boxing game, hell, maybe even Fight Night Champion 2. Oh my God, can you imagine Fight Night Champion 2? That would be incredible. And of course, Grand Theft Auto 6. But who isn't looking forward to Grand Theft Auto 6? And the worst part, the current MMA and boxing games we have aren't even great simulations. When it comes to pure gameplay, these other games that I mentioned are objectively better. Black Myth Wukong, for example, is a much better game than UFC 5 and Undisputed Boxing combined, although they are different genres for sure. But just looking at purely gameplay, game design, sound, everything, these are objectively better games. Yet I can't get into them. As soon as the game gets difficult or something, I lose interest and I quit playing. It's crazy. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Martial arts, I can definitely say, has ruined gaming for me, and not for the better. And I'm very curious if there's anyone else out there that can say it's done the same for them. Am I the only one out there that can only play MMA games right now, or boxing games, or at the very least, games that are more grounded, games that are more on the realistic side of things, right? Am I the only one? When you put a fantasy game in front of me, I'm just like, bro, I can't do this. When you put Street Fighter in front of me, or Mortal Kombat in front of me, the fireballs and the freaking flames and all the weird lighting and anime, all that stuff just turns me off completely because I want my game to look and feel realistic. Am I the only one? I'm so curious to see if I'm the only one this has happened to. And this will lead me to part 2 of this video, where I talk about how, like, terrible it is right now. If you are someone who predominantly only wants to play MMA and boxing games, let me tell you, we are in a terrible spot right now. But again, that will be for the part 2 of this video. Anyways, thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys listening to my little rant right here. Give me your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Have a good one.